What is
Welcome
up?
back to the Empire Sports and Mind podcast. We have some big news. Free NFL free agency has just begun. The Giants made a big signing linebacker Bobby Okirike. I hope I'm pronouncing that
I'm
correctly.
pronouncing
And
it. Yeah.
the Aaron Rodgers to the Jets rumors are swirling. So let's get into it.
Yeah, big free agency day, right? We mentioned on our podcast we filmed a couple of days ago that the deadline was basically today, essentially today for Aaron Rodgers and the deal. And 12 o'clock comes, nothing. You hear nothing. My hopes are kind of dwindling. I'm like, this is probably not going to happen. He's going to return to the Packers or retire. And then we get a tweet at about, I think it was like a little after 2:30 or something like that from Trey Wingo. And he's hearing the deal is done. Jets to the uh, Rodgers to the Jets. He said that it was like something with Brett Favre, but he said the deal was done, and we're just waiting for a confirmation, and we haven't gotten it. It's 8:30 right now. The tweet came out at 2:30, and still no confirmation. And it was quickly refuted by guys like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter saying the deal was not done yet. So still the same old waiting game, right? I mean, it's when is this ever going to end? But I think I'm honestly cautiously optimistic right now. I think that the deal is done, but these mainstream reporters haven't gotten the information yet. That's what I'm taking as. I don't know. It could be
Mhm.
not done for all we know, but I think it's trending in that direction. I think right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like you told me earlier, Trey Wingo is a very respected person known in the sports business in the sports world. Also, there have been other reporters who have backed up his claims, such as Dov Kleinman, among other people.
Ah,
So
what a legend.
yeah, so I think he's not making this up. I think there's definitely a possibility. There's definitely some sort of conversations for sure are taking place, and maybe there's a deal that's agreed to, but Rogers is still waiting to give the green light, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
while everyone's waiting for Schefter or Rappaport to confirm the deal, let me just go back to what Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show a couple months ago about Schefter and Rappaport of what they know about Rodgers.
Rappaport, Schefter, I think they really good at their jobs. When it comes to me, they don't know shit. They really don't. They don't have inner source. They don't have people in my inner circle who are sources. I can promise you that. And anybody who would talk to them is not in my inner circle. It's that simple.
So like that just tells me that like he's like guys like Trey Wingo. Apparently, he got the Rodgers news right the past 2 years where he was debating going back to Green Bay. He reported that he was. Then shortly thereafter, it was reported and confirmed by the big names like Schefter and Rappaport. So hopefully this time he's batting 1,000 right with the Aaron Rodgers news. So why would a guy like Trey Wingo with such a big reputation? He's been around for such a long time, has so many connections. Why would he lie about something like this? I think it's done, and he wouldn't have tweeted if it wasn't. If he wasn't 100% confident it was done. I think he's heard from a maybe Rodgers himself told him. Who knows? I hope that's the case. I
hmm
really do.
yeah, it'll be very interesting to watch. No, it feels like we were going to get an answer by 12 p.m. today because that's when the league tampering period starts. And, a lot of the free agent quarterbacks, at least the marquee ones, are, off the market. I think obviously Jimmy Garoppolo to the Raiders on a big deal. Baker Mayfield's reported to be interested, at least going to the Bucks. Other than that,
Sam
uh,
Darnold to the Niners.
yeah, that's a big one. Other than that, the quarterback class is really weak. It consists of Jacoby Brissett, um, I have the list here: Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota, Gardner Minshew, Teddy Bridgewater. So other than that, the market's really weak. So it
Yeah.
feels like Rodgers has to be priority for the Jets,
Wow.
and it looks like he definitely is.
If Rodgers doesn't end up being a Jet, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh could kiss their jobs goodbye because these guys are not saving their jobs. The bottom line is Jacoby Brissett, if they bring him in as the big marquee quarterback signing after your owner went out in January that said he was going to spend big on a quarterback, and that's who you come away with. That's a big letdown, big disappointment, and it would just be an utter failure. Right now, Aaron Rodgers, I think there's a good chance he becomes a Jet, but you never know with a guy like this, a deal could fall through. Apparently, that there's some rumors going around that he's actually recruiting free agents to come. So if a deal gets announced, there's going to be other moves on the way. Maybe a guy like Adam Thielen, maybe Alan Lazard, who was with him in Green Bay. So maybe other free agents are on the way with Rodgers. We'll see. I think that's an interesting thing to follow. Honestly, I think this deal has to get announced tomorrow because say it's still delayed, all these free agents are going to start going off the board. They're going to have
Mhm.
to sign deals. And if
Yeah.
Rodgers keeps holding up, the Jets are going to have no one to look at on the free agent market. So
Mhm.
it has to come soon.
Yeah, and especially on the offensive side of the ball, like when you get somebody like Aaron Rodgers, you may want to emphasize the offensive line or the run. No, it totally differs how you approach free agency. Obviously defensively, you can still make the signings that you want to make, but also from a cap perspective, Aaron Rodgers has, I think we've discussed this, a $15 million cap hit Jacoby Brissett's not going to have a $15 million cap hit. So these big names are going to be off the board. If you can't get Rodgers, then you're going to end up spending in places into people who don't really deserve the money, who aren't worth the money. So it's really important the Jets figure out soon, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
So we actually have some breaking news here. Randall Cobb is expected to play in 2023. A guy that's always loved Aaron Rodgers. He actually went back to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers told Green Bay he wanted him to come back when he was deciding he was going to go back a year ago. So maybe he's a guy that's going to come to the Jets. Maybe he knows Rodgers is on his way and he announced his return. And hopefully maybe the signing is going to come soon. It would be so funny to see a Randall Cobb signing with the Jets first, because then you'll know. But I don't think they're going to announce it until they announce the trade. That's my hunch, but we'll see.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Randall Cobb, as you mentioned, followed Aaron Rodgers back to Green Bay as consistent as they come. He's never, he'd be a reliable, maybe fourth, fifth receiver for the Jets. But I think, for the Jets, I think the people that, I know you mentioned this, the people that really look for recruiting them to the Jets is definitely Alan Lazard. You predicted that in our free agency mock free agency a couple weeks ago, and some other big names. So. Yeah, Randall Cobb, kind of a glue guy, but some of those other big names, I definitely think Aaron Rodgers could definitely be recruiting them over to come to the Jets if he ends up heading over too.
Be awesome. And I think that Aaron Rodgers, there's some with his contract. Maybe this is being held up by his contract, because the first 2 years the cap it's like 60 million, then the next year it's 30, I think it's like 32, and then the next 2 years are like 50, both 50 million. So maybe the Jets and Aaron Rodgers are working that out right now as we speak. Maybe they're, it takes a while with these big time contracts. Maybe Aaron Rodgers wants to lower the cap even more this year, so you get all these free agents to follow. So maybe he's making space for that. So there's a lot of things that could be holding up this deal. But in my opinion, I just have a strange feeling the Jets know that Aaron Rodgers said yes, and they're just not leaking it because they wanted Rodgers to announce it on his own terms. I think he told the Jets he wants to announce it. And I think, honestly, if I were to guess, I would guess that Aaron Rodgers would tweet out something, and that's how you get the news. I don't think Rappaport is breaking this news. I just don't think that that's going to happen.
Yeah, and then also credit to guys like Trey Wingo, who would have already broken the news if the news breaks.
Yeah.
Something definitely interesting to see. I guess let's move on to the Giants for a couple of minutes. They make their big, I think this is going to be their big splash. Linebacker, positional need for them. They signed Bobby Okereke. He led the league in tackles. I think, we were looking at the linebacker class. This is somebody who kind of, flew under the radar for me. A beast at tackling, a pretty good pass coverage guy too, which you don't really see in linebackers. And, given the linebacker market, some guys got some really crazy deals. I think this was a very good signing.
Very good for the Giants. And there were some Giants fans freaking out before this deal became official that, Joe's sleeping at the wheel. There was some comparisons to Brian Cashman that he's always asleep at the wheel. But no, the Giants they came through with the big splash. This guy I think he led the league in tackles. He's going to be a big formidable force for the future. You need a good middle linebacker. He's the leader of your defense, and it's going to be a big signing for the Giants. And I think there's more to come. I think they still have a lot of cap space to spend here. Maybe not so much, but I think they still have enough to make some more moves. And I think you'll see some in the next few days.
Yeah, as Joe Shane said, they're not shopping for guys, making the vet minimum. They also brought back Sterling Shepard on the vet minimum, Matt Breida, their punter, Jamie Gillen, their long snapper, all kind of moves. Transactional moves you have to make. But no, this is going to be a big signing. He played in the past 2 years. He played 17 games each season, very reliable. And one of the best line. I was kind of surprised. This guy, I didn't even know he was a free agent. Really, flown under the radar, but a big name for sure. And for 4 years, $40 million. Look at some of the other contracts on the market. I think this is a very good deal. He's only 26 years old, and you'll get him in his prime.
Yeah, great sign for the Giants. What's very interesting, and then we're going to bring on one of our guests here, our callers, that no wide receivers have went on the market today, which is very, very weird. And that just tells me, I don't know, I might be, an optimistic Jets fan, but I think they're waiting on to see where Aaron Rodgers is going to go, where he's going to end up, because that's going to be the first domino fall, and then all the wide receivers will go off the market. That's my hunch, because it's kind of weird. Usually you see at least one guy. I don't think I saw one wide receiver sign today. Not one. Not even one. Not even like a no name. So very interesting to say the least. Then that's the case. So
yeah.
And all right, now we'll bring in Gil Cosenza. Before we bring him in, I want to give him a lot of credit, because he mentioned the Jets trading for Rodgers in January. We laughed at him after the season. So got to give him credit there. Maybe he's friends with Woody Johnson, knows their plans or something. Something we don't know about here.
Well, I do want Rodgers, but I'm still nervous about the Jets because they're so inept. I have a feeling they're going to wind up announcing that Andy Dalton's the quarterback. I mean, Jets can't get. I just had that always in the back of my mind that whatever they do is not going to work out. But let's see. I mean, I wanted Rodgers here. I mean, I think he's your best chance at least to get in the playoffs and at least to be competitive. I mean, what other quarterbacks are out there? You guys mentioned it. There's like a handful of guys, but they're all journeymen. And if you want to try for it, I mean, listen, Rodgers, if he could give you 2 years, I mean, it's a gamble, but you know what? After 2 years, it doesn't work. Then you got to move on and either draft another guy or go. I don't think it's such a big gamble if he wants to come here. And what do you got to lose? You tell me what's there to lose. They
No,
haven't
there's
had a
nothing
good
to lose.
quarterback in how many years? So
There's nothing to lose, and everyone questioning it. He's on the decline. He's 39. What are you talking about? The guy won the MVP the past 2 in the past 3 years. Last year, he didn't have a great year, but he had a broken thumb. He played through a broken thumb the whole year, and he didn't have a great wide receiver core. And these guys were not that great. Didn't have a lot of chemistry with him. You could bash him about not being a great teammate. He gets snarky with these guys on the sideline. I don't care about that. This guy's winning games. Who cares if he's a little, mean to Garrett Wilson on the sideline? Who's going to care about that stuff? Who cares if he doesn't support the vaccine? Who cares about his all the off the field antics? Who's going to care about that? It's worth the risk, as you said. The Jets haven't had a quarterback of his caliber ever, so I think it's well worth the risk. No risk involved here. Go all in, and I love what the Jets are doing there. But hopefully they can reel him in, and hopefully it's already done, and it just got to get confirmed here soon because there's going to be some free agents going off the market, and the Jets are going to have to pivot here.
Yeah, I think, obviously no risk. I think there are a lot of rumors. And I thought in the beginning of free agency, it's going to take a couple first rounders to get him. But, per a lot of reports, only going to take a second rounder. I think that's really, for somebody, MVP caliber season maybe two MVP caliber seasons from Aaron Rodgers, there is no risk. And, he has a proven track record. He never has any terrible years. So I think this is a low risk, high reward for the Jets for sure.
I'm also happy they got rid of Barrios. I thought he was paid. I mean, I would like for them to sign Adam Thielen, to be honest with you. He's much better.
He is best friends with Aaron Rodgers, so he could be a guy that when a deal gets announced, he'll be to follow him. I think he's going to wait and see with that situation. You've loved Thielen for years, you've told me, right? You've loved him.
He has good hands. Yeah, he's a good receiver. He'd be a good third receiver. I think they have weapons. I mean, look, the bottom line is this. If they can get this, they still got to shore up the linebackers and at least the defense. And the one thing is the offensive line. If the offensive line is not good, okay, Rodgers is going to get killed, just like everyone else. So they got to shore that up. I mean, Beckham lost weight. He's been hurt 2 of the last 3 years. I don't know if you could really put that much stock into a guy like that. So
I think if he contributes, it's going to be a big one for the Jets. You can't rely on him to be the starter next year. It's great that he's losing the weight. It's great that it looks like he's on the road to recovery, but you can't rely on this guy or else you're going to be in big trouble. I think if you get
I agree, especially
I thought you guys called me in here to talk about the Quinnipiac hockey or St. John's getting Rick Pitino. I don't know.
Yeah, we could talk about that a little bit. St. John's fires their coach. Expected to bring in Rick Pitino from Iona. That's the favorite right now, and that'll be big for the program.
They need that. St. John's needs Pitino's a winner. He's been around. I know they need something. I think St. John's. I went to a couple of St. John's games. They have talent. It's just they didn't mesh. I mean, they seem like their players are not bad. They'll come back. I think Pitino. Look, 2 out of 3 years in Iona, he's in the NCAAs. And I want to tell you something. I know I was surprised they were 13 seed, but they're playing. And I know UConn is favored to win that game. But if I was UConn, I would not want to face Pitino in the first round because Pitino's teams are very disciplined. They shoot free throws. I mean, they can, if everything goes right, they can make that a really tough game for UConn.
Yeah, I think Pitino, probably one of the best coaches in NCAA basketball history. Really, and obviously a little bit scandalous, caught up in some scandals with Louisville, but a champion. He's been there. Look at the way he's turned around this Iona program. Yeah, like you mentioned, in 3 years. And within the first year, he was in the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's really impressive. This was a team that was struggling year after year. I think he would do a lot of really good things for St. John's. Obviously has a lot of recruiting connections. And for a rebuilding team, for a team that's trying to climb the ladder, make it back to greatness, I think would be a really good hire. I think he's an excellent coach.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Matthew, I was very disappointed. I wanted the Fordham Rams to win.
Oh, yeah. That was a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
They had a great year, though. I mean,
they did, and they didn't make the NIT bracket too. 25 and
really
7 make the NIT bracket. It's a little bit insulting.
It's a little disrespectful. I think they were very close to getting there.
Well, how many teams make the NIT? Not as many.
20. I think maybe it's like 30.
Yeah, it's not as many, but nonetheless, they were. I thought they were close to an outright bid for the NCAA tournament, especially if they made the finals of the Atlantic.
You had a chance.
Yeah. It's a little
Yep.
disappointing, but
That's
But-
great. Actually, two more Jet notes. I want two more Jet news. I think they re-signed their kicker, Greg Zerloin, today, which is I like that move a lot. I think it's like I don't know if the money was announced yet, but it's my assumption is probably gonna be like $2 million a year, which is good price for him. He was a really good kicker. Some consistency with the Jets at a kicker for once. Re-signing a guy, usually it's a carousel every year, so good. It's some consistency at that position. Nice to see that. And Bryce Huff received a second-round tender today. So he's staying on the team unless the team offers a second-round pick to the Jets, which is very unlikely to happen. So they keep him. We'll see with the reconstructing of contracts, and that's going to come soon. CJ Mosley of note. Who else? I'm trying to think of, like, there's other guys that are candidates to get their contracts.
yeah, and for the Giants too, very important. Leonard Williams, but a lot of
They cut the punter.
The Jets did not. That should come soon. Honestly, it should, because he's a liability.
And the Salinor, is he going to class, learning how to make timeouts and how to score touchdowns? Is he going to school soon, or
Well, I mean, with the quarterback,
all
he'll score
gas, no
touchdowns.
breaks? I want to hear all gas, no breaks next year with Rodgers.
Hey, look, I agree with you. If they get Rodgers, and I think the expectation should be, if they get Rodgers, they at least make the divisional round, even the conference championship. I think that's reasonable, because the expectations are going to go up very quickly. And if Saleh does not deliver, he's on the hot seat. I think, especially with a Hall of Fame quarterback, he's on the hot seat. So a lot of pressure there. Even Douglas, a lot of pressure.
There should be no pressure on Saleh next year. At least from like a game managing perspective. Yeah. Rodgers is one of the best to ever do it. That's a guy who can call timeouts. You're not going to see any delay of games. Like, you're not going to see like the Zach Wilson. There's like the 5 delayed games per game. It's going to be very organized. It's going to be tight ship. He's very stubborn. And I think in that sense, Saleh's going to look better because he's not going to be wasting timeouts. So you won't have as much pressure on him in that sense. But obviously the expectations are going to be higher. He has to lead this team to, like you said, divisional conference round. And so if he doesn't do that, then there's going to be pressure on him.
I also want to ask Gil one question. It's been like widely assumed that Rodgers, that he wasn't motivated to play last year for the Packers, didn't show up to OTAs and all that. Do you think if he comes to New York, he would be 100% all in, or do you think there's going to be like he's going to half-ass it a little bit? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he's going to be fully motivated to win here?
Yeah, of course, because that's his legacy. I mean, he's going to want to stick it to Green Bay. He's following Brett Favre in New York. Brett Favre did not do well, so I think he has a lot of incentive, to come to New York. And let's face it, look, he's always going to be known as a Packer. But if he ever gets the Jets to Super Bowl or wins a Super Bowl, he'll be a Jet legend instantaneously. I mean, he'd be almost like a Mark Messier. Great career before. But so, for him, it's rolling dice. But, I mean, I think if he comes here to play, he's very competitive. He wants to win, that guy. I mean, I don't see anything. Listen, he's zany. He's this. I don't care. Look. If the guy produces, I don't care who's crazy. The guy could be the nicest guy, and he can't throw. He throws 6 picks in a game and stuff. I don't want someone like that. Listen, he's also going to know that when you play in New York, there's high expectations, and if he doesn't play well, he's going to get booed, and he's going to have all the reporters and stuff. But he's 39 years old. He's been around. It's not like a rookie. He should be able to handle that. So we'll see. Because listen, the other reason why to get Rodgers, you play Buffalo, it's cold weather. You play New England in cold weather. He's used to playing in cold weather. MetLife sometimes gets cold in November, December. So these are big divisional games. Maybe if you play Kansas City, it's going to be cold. So why not get a guy that can play outside and, he's not afraid. And the most important thing to get him is because he can keep the defense off the field. He can manage the clock, like you said, Matthew, and he can, manipulate the field, go down the field and do maybe 6-7 minute drives, which is the Jet defense was gassed at the end of the year. I mean, how many 3-and-outs did they have the whole season? So I'm all for Rodgers. I like him. He's a State Farm guy. Maybe I'll get some free advertising. I'm very happy about that. So, and all that stuff. And I'm hoping Quinnipiac wins in hockey.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you bring up some great points for sure. I think Aaron Rodgers, used to playing in the cold, and he used to playing a lot of big games. He's won a Super Bowl. He's played a lot of playoff games. And Green Bay, I know that's not. You would think that's not a huge market, but no, that team is owned by the fans. No, they have the fans do put a lot of pressure on their players. They sell out every game. Now, that's a very important. That's a big market football wise. Maybe not other sports. Football wise, it's a big market. I don't think you're going to have any issues with Rodgers coming to New York. Oh, he can't handle the pressure. He's not fit to play in New York. I think that's a non-concern for me.
Yeah, it really is not. It's a waste of time. All these fans saying, well, he's not going to fit here. He's a bad attitude. Who do you want then? Do you want to keep Zach Wilson? Do you want to go get Jacoby Brissett? Like, what do you want to do if you're a fan and you don't want Aaron Rodgers? You're lost if you don't want him, and if you're a fan. Like, how are you not excited by the idea of landing a future Hall of Famer? One of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it. How are you not excited by that idea? I don't get that. Some of these fans are so out of touch.
Well,
It's
the bottom,
crazy.
if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, what's the other plan? I mean, they got Zach Wilson. Mike White went to Miami. Who are they going to get? I mean, what quarterback's going to come here? You're going to be excited with Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield, Marcus Mariota, like you said. I mean, these guys are all Carson Wentz. Who's going to really lead you? I mean, what's his name? Tannehill. I heard they were interested in Ryan Tannehill. It's all right. He's an average quarterback, but you're going to compare him to Rodgers at 39 years old. Still, heads and shoulders. Look, last year I saw him play. Didn't have a great season and stuff, but he almost got them in the playoffs till last week. And he had, like I said, he didn't have rookie receivers and stuff. He wasn't as bad as people make him out to be. He was still a very good quarterback, not MVP caliber, but I still think he was one of the top 10 He still was a top 10 quarterback in the league. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think go for it. But I have to say, I enjoy your show. It's an excellent show. You guys really know your stuff about the cap, about the draft. When one time, let's talk about the Yankees. I heard that Cashman's looking to see if anybody else has any more arm trouble. Any other guys that want to trade for it? Cashman is like 100% in pitching. He's a pitching genius, isn't he?
Yeah, well,
he's
that's
got to be one of the worst scouting general managers in the league. I don't understand. Every single guy, look at every single guy this guy's signed and acquired over the past year. Frankie Montas, Lou Trevino, Scott F. Ross, Carlos Rodon, Tommy Kahnle. Those are each of those five guys that they either signed or traded for in the past year are going to start the season on the IL this year. I don't know what physical this team is giving these players. They come in. Frankie Montas is like, oh yeah, I had this arm injury. Like the Yankees knew about it. Rodon's like, oh yeah, I also had this arm injury. The Yankees knew about it. If they know about this, I don't understand why are they dishing out $35 million to like some overall to these players if they're injured. Doesn't make any
they
sense.
gave him another 4-year extension, Cashman. They like the participation trophies that he gets in the playoffs. He makes money for them. If George was around, Hicks would have been gone years ago. Donaldson would have been gone. Cashman would have been gone. Boone would have been gone. I mean, let's face it. It's the same story. Let's get in, and everything falls in with listen, I think they're worse than they were last year. Are they going to beat Astros? They're not going to beat the Astros the way they are. So the bottom line is, what's the excitement now? If Judge gets hurt, Stanton's going to get hurt soon. I mean, what's the plan? Like they have the same. It doesn't seem like the Yankees really improved. I mean, they did sign with Don, but I don't think they got three guys in the lineup that are terrible. I don't know how they're going to do well, but that's my opinion. I know you got other people that come on the show, but you guys do a great job. So Empire Sports, very good show of mine.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate that. Thank you, Guido. Have a good one. Thanks for coming on. Yeah. Another like kind of, it's not really breaking news. Connor McGovern, the center from the Jets, has just signed with the Lions. So the Jets still looking for center help. Probably going to go the free agent route or draft route. I think they're going to sign a free agent because the center market looks like it's going for like reasonable prices. So I think they're going to go that route. Hopefully, this guy's still available. So that's a big need for the Jets.
Yeah, and then also this ties into one of the questions we received for somebody who can't make the show. He said, what does the rest of the Jets offseason look like if Aaron Rodgers is acquired? Will the Jets place additional emphasis on any specific positional groups or game plans? I think that the big one definitely, especially for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, a pocket quarterback, has to be the offensive line. I know we've already talked about it, but all around, you have to have 5 capable starters, above average starters for somebody like Aaron Rodgers to really, to get the best of him. He's going to be good either way. But if you really want to see, MVP caliber of Rodgers played, the past 10 years with David Bakhtiari, one of the elite left tackles in the NFL.
Yes.
They've always had good, lines, Green Bay. I'm not saying that's why Aaron Rodgers has been good. He's a great, talented quarterback.
Absolutely.
That's going to be very important for the Jets this offseason.
Yeah, and I'll bring up a thing from Connor Hughes. Then I'll mention the positions that they're probably going to go for. They get Aaron Rodgers. From Connor Hughes, he tweets, one thing I could give you guys, Aaron Rodgers, if and when that happens, is a starter free agency for the Jets, not the end. They realize getting him means they are going all in for 2023, and they will act accordingly, spend accordingly. So You're looking at Aaron Rodgers is not the last move they're going to make. They're going to make improvements to this team. I think the first point of emphasis is wide receiver. Corey Davis, probably going to get cut. He's an afterthought. I don't think he's going to be on the team next year. He's been hurt. He's been riddled with injuries throughout his career. When he's on the field, he's productive, but he's kind of been a letdown. I wouldn't say that contract's a total bust, but the injury, he's never available. So in that aspect, the Jets have failed with that contract, so they're going to look at a wide receiver. As we said before, Adam Thielen, guys like Lazard, Randall Cobb is probably look if they trade for Rodgers, Randall Cobb is probably going to come, but that's going to be a low signing, so that's not going to affect anyone else. But I think if Aaron Rodgers comes, I would guess Adam Thielen's the guy because he's his friend. Alan Lazard might be a little too expensive. Like maybe he's looking for 20 million, which I don't think he's worth that. I think he's worth maybe 15 million. Once you go above that, it gets a little dicey with him because look, I think he had like a 700 yards last year. So I think these guys might get some unreasonable prices, but who knows? Maybe Aaron Rodgers in New York, maybe that brings down his price tag and he signs for a reasonable amount. So we'll see. Matthew, I mean, wide receiver I think is going to be the main emphasis. Obviously, you have holes in safety, which they kind of fixed, but I think they're still looking for help there. Linebacker, they re-signed Quincy Williams yesterday, so that I think they're done there. I don't think they really Mosley, Quincy Williams, maybe Quan Alexander's. I'm going to miss him a lot because I don't think he's going to re-sign with the Jets. I think once they sign Quincy, they're out on him. I think his price tag is going to be a little too high for them, which is upsetting because I like how he played last year for the Jets. That's going to be a big loss. So we'll see what happens with it's going to be very interesting. I think linebacker, offensive line, as we said, and wide receiver is going to be the big priority for the Jets.
Yeah, I know you mentioned, so we talked about, potentially Alan Lazard coming to the Jets. I think 20 million, that's way too much. Adam Thielen, a lot of us would consider that he had a very, down year last year. I think that was reasonable. He's had a really nice career. Last year, he had 716 yards. Alan Lazard had 788, not that much more. And I think Thielen, the way at least his market is unfolding, or it seems like it's going to unfold, is that he's not going to get $20 million a year. He was cut, obviously. I think Alan Lazard is going to get much more money, and I think Alan Thielen, the production that you're going to get for him, they both had 6 touchdowns last year. I think on a salary basis, Adam Thielen would be a great get for the Jets. He has obviously the pedigree. He's had multiple 1,000-yard seasons, and he wouldn't even be the number one wide receiver. He's
number three
guy. That could be very valuable. He'd be an excellent 2 or 3, as we've seen behind Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I think if you have a wide receiver room of Adam Thielen, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, I think you're looking at a very solid team, and maybe Randall Cobb in that 4th spot. I think that's very solid. You have tight ends Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzama, who kind of were pretty good last year. I think with Aaron Rodgers, they'll be even better. So you're looking at an offense that's ready to compete. Offensive line obviously has some improvements, but they're ready to go. This roster's ready to go. I think they could be top 4 in the AFC. I think they could compete for AFC Championship. I know you have the Chiefs. I know you have the Bengals. The Bills, I'm not too high on anymore, but those 2 teams you have to get through. You have to get through Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. But I think you have a shot with this team. I really do. With this defense, top 5 in the league, you have a shot. You could roll with any. You could hang with anybody, and I think they could win any given playoff game with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. I really do. This is so important for them.
Yeah,
it's like we'll see what happens, Matthew. I mean, no news. I'm kind of getting a little nervous because it's been almost 7 hours since you reported that, since Trey Wingo tweeted that out, and no confirmation. So a little concerning. I don't know. I just don't know. I feel like if he felt like he jumped the gun, he would have said something or deleted the tweet. And he hasn't yet. So I honestly personally think Aaron Rodgers told him, and he's going to confirm. He's going to tweet out soon. All right. Because think about it. It is only 6 o'clock California time. So maybe he's going to make his decision after dinner, open up a nice bottle of wine, and announce he's going to the Jets. I don't know. Hopefully that's the case.
We'll see. And then some guys who also fly under the radar. Obviously, that Jets defense, very good last year. And they're not losing any key pieces. Yeah, you mentioned Kwame Alexander, but other than that, a lot of their starters are all going to be back next year. And a guy who flies under the radar too, Breece Hall, on pace to probably be an offensive rookie of the year candidate. Went down with the injury. You don't know if he's going to be 100% next year, but that's going to be a big addition because that Jets run game really struggled. Yeah, in part because of the offensive line. But, they're going to be adding some talent at the running back position. And I think if they upgrade the offensive line, and they obviously have Aaron Rodgers, that's going to be a very good offense. We've mentioned the tight end room, the wide receiver room, bringing some guy like Adam Thielen, and then pair that with their already elite defense, and that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. So I think they'll be a good team on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I forgot Breece Hall. Yeah, great. I mean, he looks like he was going to run away with Rookie of the Year last year, and unfortunately tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Guys, running backs are so tricky because what are they going to do when they return from an ACL tear? It might take a few years, like Saquon Barkley did, to get back to full gear. You never know. He's you know what? I think that he's very young. Saquon Barkley how old was he when he tore his ACL? 25, 26?
I think a little younger.
24. Yeah, he was young. The history of the running backs getting those types of injuries show that it takes about 2 years. But you never know. Breece Hall's young. The surgeries are different nowadays. I know Saquon got it like 3 years ago. Maybe I don't know if a lot has changed since then, but the recovery is different. This I don't know. Like the technology is advancing. These guys could. Brees Hall was. I think he was out of a brace like 3 months after he got the surgery, which is kind of crazy. So who knows?
Mhm.
Maybe even if he was like 80% of what he was, that's still a great running back. It's still one of the best in the league. So I think the Jets have him coming back. They have Elijah Vera Tucker, the offensive line who they lost in the same game as Brees Hall. He was
Yeah,
he was one of the best offensive linemen before he went hurt. So he would have been
yeah,
an all pro if he stayed healthy. So that's a big coming. Beckheim, we mentioned Becton. If he starts some games, that'll be a luxury for the Jets at tackle. So
mhm,
hopefully they get these guys back and the offense is ready to go. I mean,
yeah.
we're not just being crazy Jet fans. The offense is ready to go, and this is big. I mean, this has to get done soon. It
Yeah, and
does.
talk about things trending up for the Jets and Giants. It looks like the Bills are losing a lot of their guys. They lost Tremaine Edmonds. They're going to probably lose Poyer, their star safety. So they're going to lose some pieces. The Patriots, Dolphins. It seems like they're kind of stagnating. They haven't. No, obviously the Dolphins made a big trade for Jalen Ramsey, but I don't think Jalen Ramsey is as great as he used to be, and I think they're kind of stagnating. And in the NFC East, the Eagles have lost a lot of their key pieces,
Yes.
almost all of their free agents. So that's very good news for the Giants. I'm very happy to see that. And the Cowboys have made no moves, and the Commanders are kind of mediocre as always. So I think that for both the Giants and Jets, they're improving within their division.
Yeah, I think I think everything is looking great. The Jets and Giants division is becoming kind of wide open. I mean, the Commanders are still they're solid. They don't really scare me. Eagles, as you said, they lost some key pieces defensively,
Yeah,
and offensively too. I think they lost a few pieces. And who else is the other team? Cowboys. Cowboys are like
haven't done
fraudulent
anything.
too. Like they haven't done anything. Dak Prescott's still their quarterback. They've had questions with him internally. So like you don't know what's gonna happen. Like the Giants
Mhm.
and especially the Jets division. Miami, you said they traded for Ramsey. I'm not really scared. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's still one of the best in the game, right? I mean, people say, he's washed up, he lost a step. I think he's still very, very good. But with Aaron Rodgers, they're not gonna like it doesn't really make a difference. Like Jalen Ramsey, I think I saw the Super Bowl odds did not go down one bit. Like getting a good cornerback, it's good for your team. Obviously, you saw Jets getting Sauce Gardner. That was big for the defense, but it's not going to make them any much better. It makes them a little better, but it doesn't make them much better. I'm not really scared by that move. And
Yeah,
the Bills,
mhm.
as I said last season, ended in a horrible way, and I'm really down on the Bills. I hopefully it doesn't come back to haunt me, but the Jets almost beat the Bills twice with Mike White and Zach Wilson. They beat them once with Zach Wilson. Josh Allen looked like a scrub that game against the Jets defense. And the second game, they almost won with Mike White and Joe Flacco coming in
Yeah.
for hurt Mike White in that game. So they could beat. No one could tell me that the Jets cannot beat the Bills twice with Aaron Rodgers. I think they could. It's definitely possible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, things trending up for both New York teams. You love to see it. When was the last time this happened? No, it's been a very long time. Both teams, a lot of hardships. Top
I
five
know. I can't.
picks.
You know what would be great, Matthew? One day a Jets Giants Super Bowl. Imagine
I
that for
know.
the city.
Hmm.
Imagine that. Like that would be so great. Like
Yeah.
imagine oh my god, that'd be awesome. I don't think that'll ever
Hmm.
happen. The chances of that happening are slim, but you never know.
Yeah.
The Jets. I think the Giants. I think like they're still where I think this year they could go in and they can make the playoffs again. But I think that the expectation. What are your expectations? Like I wouldn't like if they don't make the playoffs. I don't think it's a failure, but they should get at least 6 or 7 wins, right? I mean, because last year was kind of they had a weak schedule and they took advantage of it. But I think they still can
Yeah.
make noise next year.
Their schedule is pretty difficult. No, I'm looking for them to continue. I'm not expecting them to make it to like the second round of the playoffs again. I think that's a little bit lofty, but I think they're striving. They're going to be striving to make the playoffs this year. Even if you fall just short and you see some development in your key players, I think that's what matters the most. The important thing is maintaining like the long term focus. Keeping the vision at least for the team, locking up your big players and getting some key guys. Eventually, there's going to be a big trade. I feel like. Well, this people forget this is still a rebuild. You still have to draft well. This is just year 2 of the rebuild.
Yeah,
They got lucky last
got to
year.
stick to it.
Great GM, great coach, but you have to trust the process a little bit.
Yeah, and what told me that they're still committed to the rebuild and they didn't get a little excited last year. They were sticking to it when they didn't do anything at the trade deadline because they didn't. That told me they didn't think their team was good enough to compete. Right? I mean, I think that was
Mhm.
smart. They didn't give up any of their draft capital because that would have been silly of them because they didn't have a chance. The bottom line is they didn't have a chance to go all the way. So why would you give
Yeah.
up pieces that you need in this early in this rebuild? That was smart of them to do.
Mhm.
So that tells me they were still committed to that. We got some news here. It's not Aaron Rodgers. Texans are expected to sign Jimmy Ward, a guy who I had predicted to the Jets. So the Texans snag
Yeah.
him. Safety Jimmy Ward. And you know what? whatever. I mean, the Jets, as I said, all these free agents are going to go off the board, and they have to know what they're doing. They have to know who their quarterback is, because guys are not going to sign with the Jets if they don't know who the quarterback is, even defensive players for that matter. So let's see. We got a comment here. I think Rodgers will make the Jets a strong contender for the division, but man, the Dolphins are starting to look real scary. Dolphins don't scare me. I mean, they have a quarterback that gets concussed every game. He can't stay on the field. They really don't. I mean, look, they have Tyreek Hill. They have Waddle. They have a dynamic offense with Tua there if he's 100%. But their defense it's pretty good. It's not great. They don't scare me. With Jets with Aaron Rodgers are an easily better team than him. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm not really that scared of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins. Yeah, obviously some. I think the big question for them. Tua Tagovailoa. I know they got Mike White, but they're gonna have. I think they're just gonna continue to have injury issues at quarterback. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Water. They're very set there, wide receiver wise, and Jalen Ramsey does improve their defense. But overall, a lot of the games they were in last year were shootouts. So it's hard to win games like that. I think overall they've allocated a lot of money to a couple positions. Jalen Ramsey obviously has a big contract. Tyreek Hill, and I think, I think they'll be in a similar spot as this year: 8-9 wins, 9-8, 8-9. But I don't expect them to be like a 10-win, 11-win team.
100% agree with you, Matthew. It seems like they get these stars and they're like kind of like on the end of their prime, like Jalen Ramsey. They got Bradley Chubb last year. He's still pretty good, but it's kind of like end of his prime. Dolphins are like, they just don't scare me. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me, but they just don't. With a concussed quarterback, I can't stay on the field. They're not legitimate in my eyes.
It's very important.
Yeah. I think that's about it. I mean, I just want to. I guess we're gonna play these two clips that we have. One of them from the Rodgers and Marshall. It's kind of all news, but we'll get our reaction to that, and then we'll have a Schefter update that was that he said a couple hours ago on the Jets Rodgers situation. Then we'll go off. So I'll play this video with Brandon Marshall at a flag football charity event, speaking to Aaron Rodgers about his encounter with Woody Johnson and the meeting with the Jets.
It's always interesting meeting important figures in the sport. It's always interesting. That's all I'm giving you.
I'm just there now.
That's all I'm giving you.
A-Rod.
A little bit of chemistry here.
Brooklyn. What we doing, A-Rod?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. How long we gotta wait?
Well, I think it won't be long. There's a time limit for all this.
Can I break the news? Especially if it's the Jets.
Is the time limit 2025? What is the time limit?
No, my reaction to that is, I think, I just think he's kind of selfish. It doesn't matter when he's having an MVP caliber season, but it's clear that he's decided and he kind of knows what he's going to do, and he's kind of withholding the information for extra, for the dramatics. Yeah, he has a flair for the dramatics. I guess maybe that helps you in a big playoff game. But in this case, when a lot of Jet fans are sitting, constantly scrolling on Twitter, it just feels unnecessary.
Yeah. I think in the trade package, can the Packers include some therapy sessions for the Jet fans? Like that would be nice, right? Because like this is driving me absolutely nuts. Like it's just the same old story. I wake up every day. Oh, did they trade for him? I check my phone. Nothing. Like it's just like so. And
there's some big news throughout the day, but you don't know if it's real or fake. It's
oh my god, yeah. I'm so sick of these rumors. Like Trey Wingo wasn't a rumor; he was confirming the trade. But all these rumors with Rappaport, the same video he posts every 3 hours. He posts, "Oh, nothing has happened." Schefter being angry. I mean, to me, it seems like he has no information. We're actually going to play a clip that Schefter had a couple hours ago on ESPN about the Jets and Rodgers situation.
To be traded to the New York Jets, which we have.
What do we know at this point?
Well, I think that the Jets are cautiously optimistic. I think that's the best way that we could say it right now, because until it's done, it's not done. And we have to hear from him that he does want to be traded to the New York Jets, which we have not publicly heard yet. There's a lot of grumblings, a lot of speculation. I get it. But once he does agree to that, assuming he does agree to that, then obviously the Jets have to go over his rework contract. They'll want to restructure Aaron Rodgers' contract. They'll have to agree to compensation with the Green Bay Packers. They'll have to bring along any players that Aaron Rodgers might want to take with him to New York if that's something that's on the table. So there are a whole host of things. It's not like all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers says, yes, I want to play for you, and boom, that's it. It's done. As of about an hour ago, the Jets hadn't gotten official word, at least so they said, from Aaron Rodgers. And I think everybody's very sensitive to what he thinks and what he's doing, and they want to make sure that this comes out the way that he wants it to come out, because honestly, he's so enigmatic and you just don't know what he's going to do ever until it's.
I think Schefter's coming to the realization that he's made a decision. He's just not letting anyone know. He's getting very angry. I mean, he said the Jets are cautiously optimistic. That's a good sign, but other than that, like he knows he's in the dark about this, which is like really angering him. And all the signs are leading to it, but as you know, it could fall through. I just need a confirmation to just be happy and relieved. I just don't have it yet. I mean, when that Wingo tweet came out, everyone was so excited, but no confirmation as that. We were all expecting a Schefter bomb, a Rappaport tweet, nothing. We got nothing. And the same thing. Same things continue.
Yeah, no, at this point, I don't know. I know he's under contract with the Packers, so it's not like he's a free agent. He's going to decide to go. They can always fall back and just go to the Packers or retire. So, at this point, it does feel like a little bit of a toss-up, maybe leaning the Jets' way, but it feels like a toss-up to me. I just don't know. It's such a difficult situation to describe. It's because I've never really seen anything like this. But, obviously, we'll stay tuned.
Yeah. I don't know. Could it be a McAfee appearance tomorrow? Could it be a random tweet? I said from the Notes app. Can it be a Notes app tweet?
Notes app tweet.
Anything. Just give me something. And honestly, let's do this before we come off. Let me share my screen. Let's go through. Let's get the whole entire screen. Let me share it. Where is it? All right. All right, so let's go to this is very interesting. We'll do the refresh. This guy has eye emojis. Like these people are so annoying. They make my head hurt that do that and no information. So stop doing that.
We're live on Twitter.
We're live on Twitter. Aaron Rodgers. Let's look at his likes, right? Random PGA golfer, and it gives us nothing. And then this tweet from Rasul Douglas, cornerback from the Packers. Picture of black and white of them. And what does that mean? Does that mean there's an end of an era? He puts a period. Does that mean it's over? Who knows? He likes that tweet. And this one, A-Rod gave me his phone when he went into Darko mode. Who knows what the heck that means? That's not in the English language. I have no idea what that means. And then this tweet about a passenger on the plane about COVID and all that. We all know his stance on that. Just like he's such an interesting man. Like he's alive. He's seeing all this. I think he's loving this craziness that's going on. I think he absolutely. He's sitting back. He's sitting back smoking a Cuban cigar on his couch and just laughing. That's what I think's happening right now. It's so funny. It's so fascinating. What else did I want to show? I wanted to show this. Like when the news came out with Trey Wing, all these Jets players were tweeting as if it was a done deal, and then we just get from an hour ago from Garrett Wilson. I ain't gonna fake it. I thought Dov Bro tweet was the news break I was waiting for. Shake my head. I don't know anything. Sorry about that. So they don't know anything. It was just going off that report. So yeah that's not a great sign. So we'll see what happens. And we just sit here and wait. And we hope it's done because this is driving me crazy. And I just want to stop talking about it. I just want to really just move on to the rest of the off season. I'm sick of it.
Hopefully by the end of the week we have some clarity. Like we keep pushing it back. But,
by the end of the week, that's way too long. We need
by the time we have our next podcast, we'll have clarity. That's
we say that every single time though.
Yeah, but no, it'll definitely be by next podcast. It has to be.
It has to be, or else I don't know what. Because like the free agents are gonna go. Like I think it has to happen. In my eyes, if it doesn't happen by 24 hours from now, I'm going to lose hope. I think it has tomorrow. I think like McAfee is famously has Rodgers on Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. He calls it. Maybe he drops in there. I just don't really see it. Like, does he care how much interactions McAfee gets? Is he really great friends with him? I don't know. I think he might go live on Twitter himself and say, "Oh, the decision coming in an hour on Twitter." I think he might do that. You know, how much views do you think Rodgers would get if he went live on Twitter? Be like millions of people.
Think about the people. It's going to be immediately retweeted by all of the big names. Schefter, Rappaport. He's get a lot of views.
Oh my god, that'll be insane. Like the LeBron James decision. You'd have imagine he puts the hat on. It's the Jets hat, or it's the Packers hat, or it's like I'm going into retirement. Like just get something. This is so fascinating. It's like the most fascinating situation I followed as a sports fan.
All right.
All right. So we'll leave you with that. It's fun. This live was fun. We didn't get it. Unfortunately, the news didn't break during this live, but hopefully soon, Matthew. We'll see you guys on our next podcast. Thank you for watching.